If you have your Bibles with you, you can just open it to Deuteronomy. Main focus is really on verses 4 all the way to 9. Okay? To those who are watching us online, I know your hearts wants to be here, but we just have to comply that we have to limit our attendance to at least 25% of our city capacity. One day we will all be together here. Thank you so much for staying at home and allowing some brothers and sisters to be in church this morning. Deuteronomy 6, 4 to 9. Let me just get that in front of us here. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols in your hands. Bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. Simply title the message. I'm not good with titles. If you notice my messages, my sermons, it's just plain. So the message this morning is simply a Happy Father's Day message. Because it's a celebration of Happy Father's Day. Okay, so it's simply not a Happy Father's Day, but one thing I've learned when I was praying with this, there is no script or instruction or manual for being a good father. Most of the men are thrust into the task of fatherhood that challenge us or drain us, especially if you have a son like Jacob. Beat us up, leading us to victorious moments, yes, or moments of discouragement and the disappointment. Yeah. It's so strange. You go to IKEA, you see a wonderful cabinet, and okay, wow, this perfectly fit the bedroom. Or, oh wow, this really is a nice storage cabinet for the dining. And guess what? You buy it, and it comes in boxes. Okay? And then you open the boxes, and you see disassembled parts of the cabinets. And in your mind, well, this is not what I envisioned when I was in the showroom in IKEA. And the story short, you have to assemble it. So you get one part here, one part there. If you notice, the instructions comes in multilingual languages, right? In English, in Chinese, I don't know whether French or whatever it is. Even long language. And then you pray and you pray that you'll be able to fix this cabinet, and it will hold. From the simple thing to the biggest thing, it all comes with manuals. Fatherhood doesn't come with a manual. When I got married, when Jacob was born, I never had a one-on-one talk with my dad. Andrew, hindi ka lang ito. Usap tayo. Pag ikaw naging tatay, I don't have that kind of a moment with my dad. I don't have these are my notes when I was raising you up. Oh, here's my notes. There is no such thing as notes like that. I was just thrown into this fatherhood. I have no idea. Do you believe that when Lisa was laboring with Jacob, I have it videotaped? Naka-videotape po, lahat ng pag-ire, everything that happens, it was recorded. Ito napapalabas ko na. Lahat. So everything that happens, everything is there. Everything is captured. So to those who have, everything is now available in YouTube anyway. So what I'm trying to say is this. The scripture gives us instructions, principles, examples of being a good father. Throughout the scripture, we see many different types of fathers, men who left legacy of their father who would be the positive or a negative mark left behind. Okay, so as we learn the Bible, we see a lot of examples of what a good father is or what a horrible father is. So let me just go through the list. King Saul. King Saul is a perfect image of an abusive. Okay?
Let's take that.
Wow. Pastor, 4,000 years ago, they had an abusive father. Yeah. There was already a perfect picture of what is an abusive father, and that is the person of King Saul. The way he treated his son Jonathan in 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 30, it really speaks of the anger in his heart. I wish I had the time to really detail each and every father, but it's a message in itself. But let me just go through the list. So King Saul was an image of an abusive father. King David, wow. David, a man after God's heart. He is an image of an absentee father. Really? I thought he was the one who killed Goliath. I thought he was the king of Israel. I know. But if you really look at his fatherhood style, he will be a perfect example of an absentee father. He was not there. You know exactly what happened. When there's an absentee father, the kids grow up without proper guidance. And when kids grow up without proper guidance, you know what happened? The kids killed one another. And this is, if you read the Bible, yes, that's what happened. Oops. The high priest Eli, example of an abandoned father. A father who doesn't want to discipline his kids. Imagine that. The high priest Eli. And then he sees his sons drunk and chasing women. And he did nothing about it. Oh. Abandoned father. Abraham. You see the image of an appointed father who would become the father of incredible faith that will become the model. Model man, leader, and husband. Noble. You see the adventurous father who, in spite of challenges, an obstacle flows through the hardship and leads his family to safety and victory. And also, the New Testament even have a stepfather. Okay. Now, different kinds of families. We have, what do you call that? Whatever it is. Stepfather, Joseph, who discovered his calling and becomes the human carrier of Jesus Christ when he was born. Now, in the passage that we just read, I'll just to break it down and get three principles. There are a lot of principles in the passage, Deuteronomy 6, 1 to 10. But let me just break it down so we could get these three principles. I know there's so many things to remember, so let me just break it down, make it easy to remember three principles when it comes to being a father. Three simple principles that can be easily applied to a father of any age. Or if you're not a father, pastor, I'm not a father. Hindi pa ako nagiging father, so I think the message is not, no. This message applied to every man, every woman, of various life stages. But I just like to emphasize something about fatherhood this morning. So, the first is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all your strength. And these commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Now, if you look at this passage, I'd like you to visualize those words. When you study these, when you read these are the words that really lift up from the passage. Lord our God, the Lord is one, Lord your God. So the first principle I would like for us to remember is find your identity in God. Wow. Find your identity in God. You are what God called you to be. That's your identity in God. I think one of the most enormous challenges in life is the identity challenge. I think this factor is one of the significant challenges because each stage of our life presents us with attractive options that can alter or reshape our identity. Okay. I don't know if anyone of us here went through what we call identity crisis. Okay? You don't know who you are. Okay, let me just review. What is this? Because it's very, very important that we find our identity in God. If there's one thing I would like you to remember this morning is this. You are who God called you to be. Not your parents, not your neighbors, not your boss, not your peers, but you are whom God called you to be. Find your identity in God. Remember this? Sometimes our identity is based on our social peers. These are very, very obvious among teenagers or the young teens. You are who you are with the friends you go with. I remember, tagal na to ha? Nung high school pa ako, tagal na. I don't know, you remember those? Uso-uso yung sapatos na crayons. Remember those shoes? Okay. 70, ano to? 78, 79, about 80. Yung crayon, yung canvas, and then yung sole niya is see-through. Oh, wow. You know, when you go to college, or you go to high school, and you're wearing crayons, woo! Talagang inain ka, no? Kaya lahat kami noon, all of my friends naka-crayons. And sometimes that's how we define our identity with the people that we are with. There were times, yung gusto mo like yung naka-leather jacket, ano? Natin, naka-leather jacket. See, all of your friends are wearing leather jackets, you have to be leather jackets. So you want to be part of a group, and the social peers is where your identity is. And then you pass that stage. I want a crayon, I want a leather jacket. Because you started working after college, and then now you have a career. Now you want to be identified based on your career. So if you're an accountant, so kailangan nakasalamin ka, you're good with Excel, spreadsheets. See, your identity is based on your career. So if you're working in the medical field, so nakascrap ka, may look at so sometimes we identify ourselves based on our career, and then there's what we call family. You have a family, so you're a dad, you're a mom, and now everything evolves in the family. Now, this is good if it is progressive. Progressive. The problem is with identity. I repeat, we have to find our identity with God. Remembering we are who God called us to be. A lot of problem is when we became the person that we think we are, or we became the person others we think we are. And sometimes we even didn't reach that level of the person whom God calls us to be. Let me go with the person we think we are. So we think we are good. We think we are best at this. And so we become too self-focused. We become so self-focused. So I have to do this. Sometimes your worth, you think your worth is based on how many certificates you have completed, or how many degrees it shows up in the walls, or how many of these accomplishments. You base your personality, your identity on the thing that you think will make you worthy. So you have to finish this, you have to complete that. If you're in the music field, if I could just play with the best guitarist or the best saxophone player, right? There's one thing, meaning it defines your identity based on what you think. And then there's also another crisis, is you base your identity on what others think of you. Pastors should always be kind. You see, a lot of people say pastors should be kind. And there was a stage in my life that I was defined, the way I speak, the way I behave, on what other pastors are telling me. There was a stage in my life that I was so controlled by what other pastors would have me to do. And then finally, by the grace of God, I found the person whom God called me to. And I am no longer controlled or what we call boxed in this thinking, or pastor, pastor ka, dapat ganito ka. And sometimes, that's where most of the struggles really begin, in finding our identity in God. We cannot be the person whom God called us to be if we are consumed with what others expect us rather than what God expects us to do. And that is very liberating, especially to the fathers. Because now you have the grace, you have the mercy to break out of the norm. Well, my father was an accountant. My lolo was an accountant. My lolo's lolo ran a business, so I'm assuming he's also good in accounting. So I am an accountant. So we have this notion that, ganito kami eh. I have nothing against accounting, okay? That's not my point. The point is, you have to find your identity in God, not on what others think you ought to be, or what others, or what you really think, but really find your identity in God. This is where the crisis begins, because sometimes we are in between process of a person that God wants us to be, then there is a crisis there. In church, that's why meron tayong mga sinasabing mga what call the crisis, yung midlife crisis. Yeah? Midlife crisis. Ano ba talaga ako? Hey, you, all of a sudden, you want to buy a motorbike. All of a sudden, you are so impassioned to drive a motorbike. And you're already 50 years old. I have nothing against 50 years old driving, okay? That's not the point. All of a sudden, bigla na lang ganun, hindi mo, no? Ganun na sana, no? For a while, that is a crisis, and that is what we call in between the person that you want to be and the person God calls you to be. Church, you always find your identity. When others say that you're not good at what you're doing, you ask God, am I in your perfect will? Because I will keep on doing this until I am in your perfect will. Find our security in God. Second, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God. Okay. With all of your, we know this, with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your strength, and these commandments that I gave you today are to be on your hearts. Okay, with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your strength. Okay. Second point, priority in God. Not only that we find identity in God, we also have to put priority in God. Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God. And all this shall be added to you as well. But the emphasis is seek ye first the kingdom of God. Put priority in God. If you become the person God wants you to be at any stage of your life, this level transcends the challenges of any stage. If all I focus for the rest of my life is to put God first place, then each stage is leverage for more. Okay. I'm a visual person. Gusto ko po yung visual. Nowadays, it's not enough that you present your boss the spreadsheets, you know? And then your boss will, the CEO, whatever, the C executive, they will just see the spreadsheets. They're not satisfied with just seeing the spreadsheets. Now they want to see visualization. They want dashboard. You know, pictures and all those things. I was tempted to put dashboard in this message, but no. One thing I've learned in life, simple is good. Let's go to the next. Okay. We just see a circle. Remember the circle. Center of the circle, priority is God. If you could just remember my priority is God, you won't get lost. Priority is God. When God give you a family, remember this. Your priority is still Lord, not family. If you reverse, you put family the center of your life and God the second, that makes a lot of problems. Family is only second to God. I repeat, family is only second to God. That's why we have to find our identity in God, and we have to prioritize God. Because if everything is in accordance to God's will, the family and whatever it is, it will also be good. I don't know if you experienced this. You call your husband daddy, and you call your wife mommy. I don't know if you experienced this, huh? I have a friend, a pastor friend, who scolds Christians. You don't call your wife mommy, and you don't call your husband daddy, because you are not mommy and daddy. You are husband. In that term alone, there's already a blurred areas of what family and what God wants us to be. So after God gave us family, and then we gave us a career, or sometimes together, family, career, and then always remember, put God the center. And then there's also the church. Sometimes the church involves the family, sometimes a career involves the family, or sometimes a career involves the church, whatever it is. In all of this relationship, focus, priority is God. Okay? And you won't get lost. And then there's also the ministry. If you multiply how many relationships there are between ministry, family, church, career, God, and all of these things, there are at least 100 possibilities of relationships in this circle zone. And just imagine the relationship. If there's only two persons, there's a one-on-one relationship. Is there a possibility between one-on-one relationship can be broken? Yes. How much more if you have 100 relationships all over your life? Ano ba unahin ko? Pinapa-overtime ako ni boss. Si Mrs. nag-aantay sa akin, magsha-shopping kami sa Costco. Yung anak ko, nasira yung kotse, kailangan daw ng AAA. Kailangan ko ng other things. Life will call our attention. And it's not something, pwede ba? Dahan-dahan lang. May hinakalaban. We cannot tell life that. Because life will just throw everything in us. In all of this, learn to prioritize God. Prioritize God. Draw a circle around yourself and dump everything in its circle and follow this principle. You always put God in the center of your life. Not your wife, not your husband, not your kids, not your career, not the ministry, not the church, but God. And God will make sure that everything works good. The third and the last is this. Impress them in your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road. When you lie down, when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your husband, on your hands, and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. When you study this passage, these are the things that really lift up, impressed, talk about, sit, walk, lie down, get up, tie down, bind them, write them. You see the commonality in all of this? When you see a passage, impress them, talk about it. When you sit at home, when you walk, when you lie down, when you tie them, when you bind them, you write them. Make every event a teachable moment. Words like talk, sit, walk, rise, these are taking advantage of the moments as they present themselves and make those teaching your children the truth about their life. Wow, Pastor, how do I apply this? It means noticing the downcast spirit of your child, taking a moment to invest time with them in challenging studies, seeing a particular skill and helping them develop it, or making an opportunity in failure to patiently teach a profound truth in life. I've been a father to Jacob for 23 years now. Been married to Lisa for 25 years. I've been a pastor at this church for almost 35 years also. I came into this church, Lisa was still pregnant with Jacob. Life was really difficult when we were starting. You probably know my story. I was even thinking of writing Charo Santos. Yung mga alaala mo kaya. Yung ako kung mapaiyak siya sa kwento. I was hired in LA, $7 an hour. and Jacob, Lisa was pregnant, so we made the arrangement with West Hills Hospital. You probably heard the story already. And we was asking, because I don't have insurance, okay? Wala po insurance. I was still new in the job, and they still have to wait, back then, 1996, you have to wait at least 1 year for you to get full benefits. So I was struggling, and so we made an arrangement in West Hills Hospital. If we were to, bring Lisa here for the delivery of the baby, how much it will cost? And so the hospital says, okay, Andrew, the package is $5,000. Okay? $5,000 that time, in and out. $5,000. Oh, sabi ko, tama, we have enough savings. So we prepaid the hospital, $5,000. That's a package without insurance for delivering the baby back in 1996. And so habang nanganganak si Lisa, sabi nung OB, wow, the head is too big, we might have a CS. Nung narinig ko yung CS, binilo ko si Lisa. And you know what happens? Because the size back then is about 20,000. And then I'm like, whoa, the busty baby. So baby, okay. So everything is okay. So dinala si Jacob, oh, picture pa kami, picture, congratulations. And then, pinunta namin si Jacob doon sa, when they were cleaning up, and then picture, ako pa yung nag-cut ng picture pa. So very memorial, talagang very dramatic. And then all of a sudden, after, so the package is just overnight, and then the following day, lalabas na with the baby. And then the doctor, the pediatrician says, Jacob's temperature is too low. And we cannot allow him to be released. I think I'm really worried because the temperature is too low. I think we have to transfer him to natal intensive care unit. Wala naman ako alam ko na yun. Okay, sige. Let's do our best. And then later I found out NICU costs about $5,000 a day. No, I'm sorry, $3,000 a day back then. And he stayed for about a week. And so, it's one good thing in America, they will not hold you if you don't have money. They will release you, yes, of course, yeah, they will release you. But you have to sign something that you were going to pay them. Okay? So which is really good. So following day, I went to the admin office, finance department, and they made some arrangements. Okay. It was a big amount, so I told them, let's break it down to 5 years payment plan. Pumayag naman sila. With all of the discounts because they know we don't have insurance and all these things. So pumayag sila. To make the story short, I finally paid that NICU moment after less than 5 years. It was less than 3 years and 8 months, something like that. It was good. Why am I telling this story? Because Jacob was asking me, but this were many months ago, and he was asking me about what happened to him when he was a baby, and all this. So I told him the story. And then out of the conversation, we also had a family in the church. A family in the church. Wife was pregnant, we don't have insurance, and so we brought him to a hospital. And it was cesarean, and they don't pay a single line. The bill was almost $40,000, but they never paid a single line because they are here on a visitor's visa. They don't have Social Security and all these things. So they said, okay, we'll send you the bill, but you don't have to pay it because you don't have Social Security anyway, and you're here on visitor's visa. There were questions asked. Hey, Dad, bakit ganun? You struggled to pay for me for almost 5 years. And someone could just come here and don't pay at all. Right? Let this be, when you keep asking your question, let it be a teachable moment. So I told him, Jacob, life is not fair. You will grow up in life, and you have to remember, life is not fair. But it will never cause you to be bitter in life. And then fast forward, Jacob went to UCLA, and he was applying for a scholarship. And praise God, he got some, I don't know, a few thousand of the scholarship. But then he had another friend who got 5 times of the scholarship that Jacob had. And he asked me the question, Dad, why did I only get this scholarship and this friend of mine get so much scholarship? And I, just to calm down things, I said, maybe they deserve it more. Maybe they deserve it. Dad, they live in Porter Ranch, where a house is at least $1 million there. Hey, how is it that I only get this much and my friend got so much? Remember what I said? Life is not fair. But let me just close with this. The blessings is not dependent on whether life is fair or not. The blessings is based on the goodness of God. And all God's people. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for being our Heavenly Father. Because we as earthly fathers just filled with so much imperfections. We failed a lot. We hurt a lot. But we thank you, oh God, because in all of those failures and shortcomings as an earthly father, we have a Heavenly Father who completes our family. And we bring back all the praises in Jesus' name. Amen.